He taught me, all the mathematical tables, and by the time I got into third grade, the teacher said, she's just passed all the standardized tests up to 12th grade.
You really did, and you were like, I heard you coming on the show, and I was like, yeah, I'm joining the show. She was like, did they give you car stipend? I was like, no. Did they give you this? I was like, no. I was like, let me get my deal sheet out. And you basically went over your salary for the entire time you were there. And you also gave me Jenny McCarthy. 15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Were you pissed that she canceled on your show?
I was. Only because, we're a very supportive environment for women. I mean, I think any guest will tell you that. I was reluctant to share it, actually.
Why?
I will tell you. Because I knew that it would get pickup. I knew that it would be Sunny Hostin from The View. And
so what?
I know.
But this happened to you. You weren't lying.
It happened, but I will tell you, right after it happened, I went over to Joy Behar's house. And she said, what's wrong with you? You're not your usual self. And I told her, and she said, we're talking about this on the show.
Nobody saw this coming. The View, once the undisputed queen of daytime talk shows, imploded faster than anyone could have imagined. The show that thrived on bold debates and unfiltered opinions turned into a swirling vortex of chaos before disappearing from our screens for good. What began as spirited exchanges at the table spiraled into a toxic environment of clashing egos, backstabbing alliances, and a legal storm so intense it crushed the very foundation of the show. But at the heart of it all? Sunny Hostin, caught in a scandal so explosive it left her in tears on live television, with cameras rolling and viewers stunned. The warning signs had been building backstage. Crew members spoke in hushed tones about an atmosphere thick with tension, though no one could pinpoint the exact cause. And then came that moment, the segment that set everything ablaze. Sunny, never one to mince words, went all in on a critique of a high-profile public figure known for their wealth, power, and legal muscle. Her fiery remarks earned thunderous applause from some viewers, but drew sharp backlash from others. Even her most loyal fans started questioning if she had taken things a step too far. The fallout was immediate. While the show had always prided itself on pushing boundaries, this time, something felt different. In the control room, anxiety rippled through the team. Had Sunny's passionate takedown crossed the line into dangerous legal territory? Could this be the moment where bold opinions turned into outright liability?
Right? They had a vision of how do we create community and create a space where we are welcome in a country where we are not welcome. And I think that was the goal, has been the goal, and they have really maintained that goal.
The once unshakable View was suddenly teetering on the edge, its future hanging by a thread. Nobody expected this level of fallout. And when the dust settled, it wasn't just the show that was gone. It was the legacy it had worked decades to build. Producers scrambled to calm the growing panic. The View had survived lawsuits before, thanks to its skilled legal team and the careful framing of controversial topics as lively debates rather than outright accusations. But this time, the air was different, heavier. Rumors swirled that the target of Sunny's scathing critique wasn't just upset. They were gearing up for a defamation lawsuit. And this wasn't just any legal threat. Whispers hinted the suit could target the show, the network, and even Sunny herself. Officially, ABC tried to keep the mood steady, assuring everyone that nothing had been filed yet. But behind the scenes, tension rippled through the cast and crew. The looming possibility of a lawsuit created sharp divides among the co-hosts, sparking hushed exchanges in the green room. Some were optimistic, convinced the show could weather this like it always had. Others feared they were standing at the edge of a cliff, with disaster just waiting to strike. Sunny, meanwhile, kept a bold front. She dismissed concerns with confidence, arguing she had simply exercised her First Amendment right to speak on matters of public interest, a cornerstone of The View's long-standing approach to heated discussions. The show had a history of tackling controversial figures and calling out questionable behavior. often ruffling feathers without serious consequences. Her co-workers weren't so sure. Some whispered that Sunny's fiery comments had gone beyond the usual bounds of critique, but she waved off their doubts. After all, the panel was no stranger to provocative conversations, often challenging the rich and powerful without fear of retaliation. For Sunny, this felt no different. She'd sparred with politicians, celebrities, and tycoons alike, expecting the occasional backlash, but never imagining it would bring the network to its knees. Still, the mounting tension was impossible to ignore. Was this boldness finally catching up to The View? Or was it just another storm to weather on their never-ending journey of pushing boundaries?
15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Were you pissed that she canceled on your show?
I was. Only because, we're a very supportive environment for women. I think any guest will tell you that. I was reluctant to share it, actually.
Why?
I will tell you. Because I knew that it would get pickup. I knew that it would be Sunny Hostin from The View. And
so what?
I know.
But this happened to you. You weren't lying.
It happened, but I will tell you, right after it happened, I went over to Joy Behar's house. And she said, "What's wrong with you? You're not your usual self." And I told her, and she said, "We're talking about this on the show."
Sunny's confident facade started to crumble when the reality hit. She received an official letter confirming that legal action was looming. And this wasn't just any legal notice. It came straight from the high-powered legal team of someone infamous for fiercely defending their reputation at all costs.
You really did. And you were like, "I heard you coming on the show." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm joining the show." She was like, did they give you car stipend?" I was like, "No." "Did they give you this?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Let me get my deal sheet out." And you basically went over your salary for the entire time you were there. And you also gave me Jenny McCarthy's salary.
This wasn't some frivolous tabloid drama. It was the opening shot of what could turn into a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Early rumors suggested the case wouldn't just target Sunny, it could drag the entire production team into the fray, even reaching top ABC executives, all accused of enabling defamatory content. The letter sent shockwaves through The View's staff. News of its existence spread like wildfire, stoking a quiet but palpable panic. Publicly, the show clung to its usual format, tackling hot-button topics, chatting about pop culture, and diving into political debates. But the tension behind the scenes was impossible to hide. Joy Behar tried her best to lighten the mood with her signature humor, but her jokes landed with a thud, met by nervous chuckles or awkward silence. Even Whoopi Goldberg, known for her ability to control the table's chaos, seemed uncharacteristically reserved, as though afraid of getting caught in the fallout of this legal disaster. Meanwhile, Sarah Haynes and the other co-hosts became noticeably more cautious. They avoided anything that could be interpreted as inflammatory, treading carefully around the elephant in the room that dominated every off-camera conversation. In the center of it all was Sunny. The headlines grew harsher by the day, painting her as the driving force behind The View's spiraling crisis. Her once strong resolve wavered as critical articles cast her as the person single-handedly bringing the show to the brink of collapse. The situation reached a boiling point when the lawsuit officially dropped. The hefty legal documents laid out damning claims, accusing Sunny and The View of tarnishing the plaintiff's reputation with statements they argued were presented as factual but lacked concrete evidence. While the exact details of Sunny's remarks weren't disclosed, tabloids speculated endlessly. Whispers of deeply personal allegations flooded gossip columns, fueling the firestorm and leaving both the show and its fans wondering, was this the beginning of the end? The type of allegations in the lawsuit had the power to ruin careers and tarnish public images if left unchecked. ABC wasted no time assembling its legal team, which quickly instructed the co-hosts to avoid discussing the details on air. Fans were left frustrated and intrigued by the vague, cryptic references to ongoing legal matters. But the crisis didn't stop there. What began as behind-the-scenes drama escalated into a full-blown catastrophe when major advertisers, alarmed by the lawsuit's publicity, started distancing themselves. It began quietly. A well-known automotive brand discreetly paused its sponsorship. Then, more high-profile household names followed, each publicly stating their desire to avoid the growing controversy. For The View, this was a disaster in the making. In daytime television, advertiser backing is the lifeblood of any show. And without it, even the strongest programs can crumble in weeks. Network executives scrambled to control the fallout, but the optics were damning. The show's daily clashes and divisive debates, once its biggest strength, were now viewed as liabilities. The strain on Sunny Hostin was unmistakable. Known for her confidence and sharp commentary, Sunny now found herself grappling with doubts and fears behind closed doors. Staffers shared whispers of private conversations where Sunny confided in close friends about the toll this scandal was taking on her personal life. The prospect of issuing a public apology, a direct blow to her pride and principles, loomed heavily over her. Sunny had always stood firm in her belief that her remarks were protected under free speech. But she couldn't ignore the possibility that ABC might decide to sacrifice her to protect its own reputation. If a settlement required it, would she be forced out? Even with her family offering support, cracks began to show in Sunny's normally composed demeanor. The weight of the lawsuit, the criticism, and the network's precarious position pushed her to a breaking point. The question was no longer just about The View's future. It was about whether Sunny could weather the storm or be consumed by it. In a desperate attempt to regain control, producers devised a carefully worded statement for Sunny to read on air. Crafted by top legal and PR minds, the statement wasn't an outright retraction, but a softening of her original claims, designed to diffuse the escalating tensions. Yet, Sunny felt a pang of unease. Reading it publicly would suggest she was doubting her own words, potentially giving the plaintiff's legal team more ammunition to demand higher damages. Her internal conflict was evident as she repeatedly postponed the announcement. Meanwhile, controversy temporarily boosted the show's ratings. Curiosity lured viewers eager to see how the drama would unfold. But the spike in numbers did little to reassure advertisers who were already halfway out the door. The financial hit was undeniable, and soon the situation took a dire turn. ABC executives dropped a bombshell that shocked both fans and staff. The View would go on hiatus while the network addressed pressing legal and contractual matters. Though the word canceled wasn't used, industry veterans read between the lines. A show with fleeing sponsors, a massive defamation lawsuit hanging over it, and co-hosts at odds was a sinking ship unlikely to return to the air. The announcement sent shockwaves through the studio. Staff members, many of whom had been with the show for years, scrambled to process the news. Tearful goodbyes filled the corridors as some employees quietly packed up their desks, bracing for the worst. The writing was on the wall, and few believed the hiatus would be temporary. Sunny, notably, was absent from that pivotal broadcast. Her silence spoke volumes, leaving viewers and colleagues speculating about her next move. For someone so often at the center of the discussion, her absence felt like a final chapter closing. What had once been daytime television's most talked-about roundtable was now a fractured team, a legal quagmire, and a fading legacy. As the dust settled, one thing was clear. The View's reign had ended not with a triumphant farewell, but with a slow, painful unraveling. The official story was that Sunny Hostin was taking a personal day, but the truth ran much deeper. The tension behind the scenes had reached a breaking point, making it unbearable for her to sit at the table without risking yet another heated confrontation about the lawsuit. That morning, Sunny reportedly met in private with top ABC officials, where the grim reality of the situation was laid bare. They assured her she wasn't solely to blame, but there was no escaping the fact that her comments had been the spark that ignited this entire crisis. According to insiders, Sunny was visibly shaken during the meeting, struggling to process the harsh reality that the show she'd called home for years was now on the brink of total collapse. Shortly after, ABC released a brief, almost clinical statement. The View was officially canceled. The network cited evolving production strategies and legal complexities. But no one was fooled. The real story was splashed across media outlets in bold headlines. The View canceled amid defamation lawsuit. Articles dissected every detail, with phrases like Sunny Hostin's remarks sink daytime giant and inside the legal drama that destroyed The View, dominating the news cycle. The fallout among fans was fierce and deeply divided. Some rallied to Sunny's defense, arguing that her unfiltered style had always been a cornerstone of the show's success. To punish her for doing what The View had always encouraged, speaking boldly, felt like a betrayal. Others, however, were less forgiving, claiming that Sunny had recklessly crossed an essential line, ignoring the age-old journalistic principle. Verify before you testify. The day after the cancellation became official, Sunny was spotted quietly clearing out her dressing room. The once bustling studio was eerily silent, with most staff already reassigned or preparing to leave. A few producers tried to offer her words of encouragement, but the atmosphere was thick with unspoken resentment. Many couldn't help but see Sunny as the person whose misstep had cost them their jobs. For Sunny, the walk out of the studio felt heavy, almost surreal. What had once been her professional sanctuary had turned into a battleground of controversy, legal strife, and fractured relationships. The legacy of The View, one of daytime television's most iconic shows, was left in tatters, with Sunny Hostin at the heart of its dramatic end. Before leaving the studio for the last time, Sunny paused in a familiar corridor, a place where she and her co-hosts had once shared laughter, gossip, and lighthearted banter. Now, the silence was deafening. Witnesses later reported that she looked on the verge of tears, overwhelmed by the abrupt end of everything she had worked so hard to build. Though the network cameras were off, someone nearby discreetly recorded a brief video on their phone. It captured Sunny standing in the corner, eyes glistening with unshed tears, wiping one away before hugging a colleague goodbye. When the clip hit the internet, it exploded in popularity. Within hours, headlines shifted from legal drama to a raw, emotional story. Sunny Hostin breaks down after The View's cancellation. Social media lit up with heated discussions. Critics accused the person who filmed the moment of exploiting Sunny's vulnerability, while others saw it as a heartfelt display of regret and sorrow. The network remained silent, stating only that it respected the personal toll the show's cancellation had taken on its staff. Meanwhile, tabloids feasted on the evolving story. They detailed the entire saga, tracing it back to that one bold on-air statement, words that had enraged a powerful figure, ignited a lawsuit, and ultimately dismantled a daytime television titan. Yet, even with The View off the air, the drama was far from over. The lawsuit lingered, threatening to drag Sunny and ABC through a grueling legal battle that could stretch on for months, if not years. Rumors swirled about potential settlements, secret negotiations, and undisclosed deals designed to limit further damage. Sunny herself stayed out of the public eye for a time, but then made a surprising move. She sat down for an exclusive interview with a podcaster known for delving into controversial topics. For nearly 2 hours, Sunny opened up in a way few expected. Choosing her words carefully, she described the immense emotional weight of losing The View. She spoke of sleepless nights, the heartbreak of watching her professional family dissolve, and the lingering uncertainty about what lay ahead. Her raw, unfiltered vulnerability resonated with listeners, adding yet another layer to a story that had already captured the public's imagination. For Sunny, the interview wasn't just an outlet, it was a chance to reclaim a narrative that had spiraled out of her control. Sunny Hostin clarified during the interview that defaming anyone was never her intention. She explained that her goal was simply to speak truth to power, something she had done countless times throughout her career. But her composure faltered when she recalled the final days at the studio. She described the stifling atmosphere, the awkward silences in the makeup room, the hushed whispers in the corridors, and the lingering uncertainty about whether anyone would still have a job. Her voice cracked as she admitted that these moments had replayed in her mind more than once. At one point, Sunny paused, visibly fighting back tears. Predictably, critics seized the moment. Some dismissed her interview as nothing more than a PR stunt, accusing her of deflecting responsibility and portraying herself as a victim, rather than owning up to her role in the events that led to The View's collapse. Yet, her supporters rallied behind her. Longtime fans, who had followed her career from its early days, applauded her courage for stepping forward and sharing her side of the story. To many, Sunny wasn't just mourning the loss of a job. She was grieving the loss of a platform she had believed in wholeheartedly. A place where she felt she could make a difference by voicing hard truths. Meanwhile, her former co-hosts began to navigate their own uncertain futures. Joy Behar, a cornerstone of The View, expressed her disappointment over the abrupt loss of a show that had become a daily ritual for millions. "It's not just a job, it's been a part of my life," she remarked. Whoopi Goldberg, visibly shaken, chose to remain tight-lipped about the lawsuit, but offered a glimmer of hope, hinting that some version of the show might rise again someday. Other co-hosts explored new opportunities, from fielding offers to join rival networks to planning their own podcast ventures. But no one's story lingered in the public's imagination as much as Sunny's. The image of her leaving the set for the last time, tears brimming in her eyes, remained etched in the minds of viewers and colleagues alike, a symbol of the deep sense of responsibility and sorrow she carried. For media analysts, The View's downfall became a textbook example of the fine line between bold, provocative commentary and statements that can spiral into legal jeopardy. The collapse of the iconic show served as a stark warning to the entertainment world. Controversy draws attention, but the price of going too far can be devastating. For years, The View thrived by dancing on the edge of controversy, inviting bold debates and challenging societal norms. This formula made it a cultural powerhouse, but also left it vulnerable, teetering on the brink of legal trouble at any given moment. Sunny Hostin's ordeal showcased just how quickly things could unravel when a powerful public figure, armed with substantial resources, decided to escalate a disagreement into a full-blown legal battle. The controversy sparked deeper conversations within the television industry about how far shows should go in courting controversy, and whether hosts and production teams receive adequate legal guidance before diving into sensitive topics. Some insiders began floating ideas for how The View might return. Rebranding became a recurring suggestion. Could the show re-emerge under a new name or format? One proposal involved rotating hosts, reducing the likelihood that any one personality could dominate the program and inadvertently lead it into controversy. There was even quiet speculation about Sunny's potential return, though under carefully negotiated terms. Still, with the lawsuit unresolved and the media frenzy surrounding her name, such a scenario felt like wishful thinking. For now, no concrete plans surfaced, leaving fans in limbo. The possibility of a reincarnated version of The View remained just that, a possibility. Meanwhile, Sunny turned inward, choosing to process her emotions away from the spotlight. Weeks turned into months, and she maintained a low profile on social media, sharing sporadic updates about family moments and causes close to her heart. Every so often, Sunny would allude to the storm she had weathered, describing it in vague terms as a turbulent chapter in my professional life. She steered clear of rehashing the specifics of the lawsuit, a likely directive from her legal team, which remained hard at work organizing depositions, building her defense, and preparing for the possibility of a lengthy court battle. For those who had followed the story from the start, Sunny's silence left a bittersweet impression. The once fiery host, known for her bold opinions, had been forced into a quieter role, navigating an uncertain path in the aftermath of a scandal that had shaken daytime television to its core. whether The View would ever rise again in any form remained an unanswered question. Over time, the media frenzy surrounding The View's collapse began to fade, replaced by fresh scandals and new controversies. But a loyal group of fans refused to let the story die. They clung to every lawsuit update, analyzed Sunny Hostin's interviews, and speculated endlessly about potential outcomes. Within this devoted faction, opinions were sharply divided. Some blamed ABC for failing to stand firmly behind Sunny during the crisis, accusing the network of sacrificing her to protect its own reputation. Others criticized Sunny herself, claiming her recklessness had jeopardized not only her own career, but also the livelihoods of everyone associated with the show. Still, a third group saw the ordeal as a reflection of the precarious position media personalities occupy today, where bold opinions can quickly escalate into multi-million-dollar legal battles. Months after the initial fallout, the case roared back into the headlines when reports revealed a critical development. The defamation lawsuit was advancing to a preliminary hearing. This step would determine whether certain claims would be dismissed or whether the case would proceed to trial. Suddenly, speculation reignited. Would ABC choose to settle quietly to avoid further embarrassment? Would Sunny herself face personal liability if the court determined her statements were defamatory? Amid the renewed attention, a paparazzo captured Sunny leaving a courthouse. Wearing dark sunglasses and a somber expression, she looked subdued, her usual confidence seemingly muted. The photos quickly circulated online, reigniting both empathy and criticism. Social media users debated her appearance. Was her posture one of quiet resolve, or did it signal defeat? Legal analysts joined the fray, pointing out that her demeanor suggested the gravity of the situation had fully sunk in. For many, those images of Sunny leaving the courthouse served as a stark reminder of how far-reaching the consequences of this controversy had become. Not just for her, but for everyone involved with The View. While the lawsuit lingered, so too did the public's divided opinions. The polarized reactions highlighted the complexities of modern media, a world where a single comment could spark outrage, ruin reputations, and unravel institutions. For Sunny, the courthouse steps symbolized a crossroads. Whether this chapter would lead to redemption or lasting infamy was still a story waiting to be written. Sunny Hostin's demeanor was a far cry from the confident, self-assured persona she had cultivated on air for years. The lawsuit, the fallout, and the betrayal had chipped away at her resilience. Despite the legal chaos, some media outlets saw potential in Sunny's name and reputation. Offers came her way. Opportunities to host a podcast or a streaming show where she could delve into the political and social issues she was passionate about. But Sunny hesitated. In a rare moment of vulnerability during an interview with a respected journalist, she confessed that she wasn't sure she wanted to return to the world of opinion-driven broadcasting anytime soon. The ordeal had taken a heavy toll on her faith in the industry. Sunny expressed a deep sense of disillusionment, reflecting on how quickly the network had shifted from celebrating her bold voice to distancing itself from her entirely. In the same interview, she shared her most candid recollection yet: the final, agonizing days of The View. Sunny painted a vivid picture of a show that had once been a lively forum for debate, reduced to an atmosphere of fear and paranoia as the lawsuit loomed larger. Every discussion felt like a potential legal landmine. Co-hosts began second-guessing their words, terrified that one misstep could escalate the crisis. Producers hovered off-camera, silently gesturing for heated exchanges to wrap up before they spiraled out of control. For Sunny, the suffocating tension was unbearable. While she mourned the end of the show she had dedicated so many years to, she admitted that its cancellation brought an unexpected sense of relief, a grim escape from the relentless pressure that had consumed its final weeks. Her words ignited a flurry of public debate. Media outlets, analysts, and fans weighed in on the costs of unfiltered, real-time commentary in an era when powerful figures frequently wield litigation as a weapon. conversations erupted about the delicate balance between free speech and responsible speech, a line The View had walked for over 2 decades. For Sunny, the candid interview was a moment of catharsis, but it also served as a stark reminder of how fragile the foundation of opinion-driven media could be. Her story underscored the risks of speaking truth to power in a world where the backlash could destroy even the most celebrated platforms. It wasn't just The View's legacy at stake. It was the larger question of how media and free expression could coexist in an age of escalating legal and cultural tensions. That delicate line between bold commentary and costly consequences had finally snapped. At least, that's what some critics argued about Sunny Hostin's role in The View's downfall. In the end, the iconic stage where countless guests and co-hosts had debated, laughed, cried, and shared their stories was dismantled with no fanfare. There was no farewell broadcast, no montage of cherished memories for the loyal audience. The studio lights simply went dark, leaving a gaping void in daytime television. Public memory of the show's dramatic end remains inextricably tied to Sunny's story. The fiery statement she made, the lawsuit it triggered, and the emotional breakdown that followed when it became clear The View could not weather this legal storm. Over time, public opinion about Sunny softened for some. Her defenders argued that her intent was never malicious, but rather to hold a powerful figure accountable. Critics, however, have not relented, accusing her of taking an unnecessary risk that jeopardized not just her career, but the livelihoods of the entire staff and the legacy of a beloved institution. Whichever side of the argument one takes, The View's implosion stands as an unshakable chapter in television history, a potent reminder that unfiltered commentary can carry heavy consequences and that even the most celebrated fixtures in media are not invincible. For Sunny, the journey is far from over. The defamation lawsuit drags on, with lawyers on both sides battling over claims and counterclaims. Though no official word has surfaced, whispers of confidential settlement talks persist, leaving the public to speculate about what might be unfolding behind closed doors. Sunny herself has pledged to keep advocating for the causes she believes in, though her presence on social media has noticeably dimmed. Where she was once a vibrant and outspoken voice, she now shares sporadic posts filled with uplifting messages about resilience and unity. Words that many see as coded reflections of her own experience. These posts have sparked divided reactions. Critics dismiss them as shallow and evasive, a weak attempt to maintain relevance without addressing the controversy head-on. Others, however, find them genuinely inspiring, seeing in her words a glimmer of the fiery passion that once made her commentary on The View so compelling. Regardless of opinion, Sunny's story is far from finished. Her rise, fall, and resilience continue to captivate, serving as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the complicated world of modern media, where one moment of boldness can bring down even the most iconic of platforms. Years from now, that fateful day will still be etched in the memories of many. The sudden announcement, staff members frozen in shock, and Sunny Hostin quietly packing up her dressing room, slipping personal mementos into a box. The final image of her walking down the corridor, her usually composed face betraying a single tear, will be remembered as more than just the end of The View. It will symbolize the profound human cost of unrestrained commentary in an industry tightly bound by legal risks and unrelenting public scrutiny. The collapse of The View stands as a stark reminder of how quickly everything can unravel. Reputations can be tarnished, successful shows can be canceled, and lives can be upended when the delicate balance between bold opinions and cautious restraint is tipped too far in one direction. Yet even amid the wreckage of what The View once represented, the memory of Sunny Hostin remains layered and complex. For some, she will forever be the spark that ignited the lawsuit and accelerated the show's demise. A cautionary figure of speaking too boldly without considering the potential fallout. For others, she will be seen as a martyr for free speech, caught in the crossfire of a powerful adversary determined to silence dissent. But one thing no one can deny is her passion. Sunny deeply cared about the issues she discussed, the platform she cherished, and the colleagues who stood by her side until the bitter end. When Sunny finally broke down, it wasn't just the unraveling of a TV personality under intense pressure. It was the raw pain of someone watching a dream dissolve before her eyes. Was she too reckless or just too courageous? That question, along with her legacy, will remain for time to decide. Meanwhile, the story of The View's demise will endure in the collective consciousness. Lawsuits and cancellations may come and go, but certain tales resonate far beyond their initial headlines. For millions of viewers, The View was more than a talk show. It was a cultural forum, shaping opinions, bridging generational gaps, and offering a sense of connection. For Sunny Hostin, this chapter will undoubtedly stand as a defining moment. A vivid lesson in how quickly the sharp edges of public discourse can turn against those who wield them, especially when legal threats are in play. Perhaps one day, free from lawsuits and financial worries, Sunny will step back into the spotlight. Whether as a commentator, author, or in some entirely new role, her voice may once again resonate with the public. But the memory of The View's cancellation will remain a poignant footnote to her career, a reminder of the risks she took and the consequences she faced. Maybe she will recount her experience in a memoir or a candid interview, sharing how she grappled with the sudden collapse of a show she cherished and how she learned to navigate the delicate boundaries between speaking freely and substantiating bold claims. Perhaps she will even find reconciliation with those who felt betrayed by her choices, or perhaps not. For now, all that's left is the haunting echo of chairs scraping across an empty stage, the faint hum of studio lights that will never illuminate another morning's debates, and the enduring image of Sunny Hostin quietly leaving the studio. Tears welled in her eyes as she stepped away from a platform that had been her professional home for years, walking into a future that no one had quite foreseen. And that's a wrap on this dramatic saga. If you found this story as compelling as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.